I come from my father. I have what he has. And I didn't want to be him. Why he made fun of me, why he beat the hell out of me, my brother, my mom. It comes from a dark place, an insecure, dark place. A good human being doesn't need to break anyone down. All they do is want to build you up. When you get to where you want to go in life, you finally get there, you finally reach that point, and you're there, and you're happy as hell. Realize this, you're not there yet. My whole life is about going into the dungeon and going into that area where I can go through all this shit and become a philosopher. I really am a philosopher, man. A philosopher about the mind, about how far we can go. And the first book didn't do that. And I did it on purpose because know what David Goggins was. So I'm not going to give you never finished first because I haven't really gone out here and told you who David Goggins is. So now they knew who I was, and now I can bring it to the next level. Well, I've been talking to people for several years, and I wasn't really big on, like my mindset's very different than most people.
Yeah.
It's a mindset of, I don't want to be known too much. I don't want too many looky-loos in my life because that's where I gain my strength. I gain my strength from a place of quiet. And the more I got my story out there, the more I realized it no longer be David Goggins, the quiet man. It'd be David Goggins, the guy that's on Instagram, answering this, answering that, because I'm also a guy that's always about, if someone reaches out to me, I'm not gonna sit back and say, oh, whatever. I'm gonna reach back to you. So it's gonna take time out of me trying to gain strength and me trying to get ready to go. So that was a big deterrent for me to get on Instagram and all that stuff. I'm not big on social media anyway.
Yeah.
But then I realized that I have God put me in a very interesting spot of life where he made hell my teacher. He made hell my teacher. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I'm trying to give people a different thought process of life where failure, hell, disappointment, discomfort is a great learning tool. And many people don't understand that. And a lot of people won't even understand this interview when we get done with it. But it's these few moments in life that you have. Like for me, I always talk about it. Rocky 1, round 14. That 1 2-minute and 13-second clip of Rocky getting up when Apollo knocked him down. That one clip, when I was going through a very bad time in my life, I saw what I wanted to be. And it wasn't a guy that won. It wasn't a guy that won everything he did. It was a guy that kept getting up after being knocked down. So I realized if that 2 minutes and 13 seconds changed my life, that's all it was. I saw something that I needed to be in the world I was living in. Maybe my story will give someone the 2 minutes and 13 seconds they need to change their life. Millions of people live in a very comfortable place. That's fine. Don't listen to me. A lot of people are looking for that 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And I might be that person. That's why I started sharing it.
So one of the things that I've been thinking about is the danger of success making you soft. And this must be something that you've battled with over the last few years.
Right.
More money, more attention, more fame, more free things if you wanted, more opportunities to go places and do stuff with people.
Right.
How have you dealt with this battle of success not making you soft?
You have to cap it. You have to learn to cap success. So what I do is, like right now, I don't like doing podcasts. There's a lot of things I don't do that I have to do now to get the message out there to help people out. And what I mean by capping success, I believe everybody should live their life. So everything that someone says in life, take it with a grain of salt. Take what they give and don't be like, oh, David Goggins said this or whoever said this. No, do not take what I say and do exactly what I say. So for me, what makes me who I am, because my mission is very different than yours or anybody else's, I have to go into a situation where, okay, I'm a guy who wants to make people better. For people to get better, I have to continuously get better myself. For me to do that, I can't just say, oh, I have this resume, the resume is there forever, I'm good. I have to cap my success, because for me to help people out, I can't just say I did it once and I'm good. I have to continue to reinvent the wheel of the mind and figure out more and more ways for you to pull. Because if I have a cookie cutter message, it may hit 5 people out of 25. You just failed. My message needs to be in a way where I can hit all 25 people. It needs to be broad enough to where all 25 people may not like the message, but they're getting something from it. And that is evolution. You must continue to evolve. And you don't evolve, for me, in my job, unless I cap myself somewhere and say, okay, you made this much money, get back to fucking work. It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk, get off the podcast, don't be on social media too much, cut out all the fucking noise, get back to the fucking mental lab, because that's where the knowledge came from. What's the point? Like, we all have a story. And I believe that we're all teachers. We're all teachers. And if you don't learn something and give back like what you learned, what's the point of living?
You're wasting.
Yeah, you're wasting. You have all this knowledge of what you learned. Some people may think you're crazy. Some people may put a title on you, but it is those few people who are like, you know what, I need to hear that. Mm-hmm. So you have to put yourself out there. About action, and action means less talking and more doing. So that's where I've been.
Stop talking! Start doing!
Nothing's permanent.
So,
but when I started getting these emails from people saying, hey, you know what, you changed my life. That part changed my life. That part of your story changed my life. And because I have so many different parts of my life that so many people resonate with different spots. Maybe it's the obese part. Maybe it's the bullying part. Maybe it's the learning disability part. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the abusive parent part. Whatever it may be. Right. So many people draw from my story, and I started getting these emails. And I was like, God, man, and I'm a big believer in something more powerful than me. I don't know what it is, but I'm not the end all. So I was like, I gotta start doing more. If I'm touching these people's lives,
a few people here and there,
right? Yeah. Maybe I need to go out here and do some more. That's maybe what they see in the 1-minute video, and that's what people believe. But there's a lot of thought behind a person being a born loser, becoming who I am today. You don't just wake up and just rocky the shit. You gotta wake up and think about, there's a process to getting better, and that process is never finished.
Nobody cares about your plans. Nobody's impressed by your intentions. All that matters is, did you get it done?
You know what? It's all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're born to that, it's all you know. You know something's not right, because in my mind, at a young kid, I could tell, man, the way I was processing things wasn't right.
Right.
I suffer from severe toxic stress, and that was one of the big reasons why I started, I had a learning disability. My focus in life was way off. I was afraid. I was afraid of everything. And when you have that kind of foundation growing up, and that's where you start life at, is being abused and also working all night at a skating rink, not going to school, and you have a guy who's an alcoholic, and the second he got drunk, he got mad. And so our house lived in fear.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you can't ever get out of a kid's mind is your mom's mind, like your mom's face.
The terror
of your mom's face.
Worst.
So I didn't care about my brother, I didn't care about me, but I saw this woman go from Mary Poppins, the sweetest person on the planet Earth. And when you see your mom start to transform to a shell, to a person whose face becomes stoic, a person who has no emotion, and that changes a kid.
Yeah. And
when you're young and you have to grow up so fast, so by 8 years old, my mind was of us 40-year-olds at 8. My family, life came at me, and it makes your brain, you're not outside playing with kids. You're trying to avoid getting beat.
Yeah.
You're avoiding all these things.
Yeah.
Hope is bullshit. When I was going through SEAL training,
A lot of people hoped that they would pull us from that cold water. Man, hope ain't gonna get you shit because it's not in your hands. Hope is not in your hands. You can't control hope, man. You can't. It's just hopefully this thing happens. But when you get belief, when you start to create belief, and belief isn't like an after school special. Most people think, oh man, like your mom and dad, you need to believe in yourself. Sesame Street, when I was growing up and shit, you need to believe in yourself. That's not the belief I'm talking about. It's the belief that you harness through hard work and dedication. And it's something that you know what you are capable of because you've gone there several times in those dark times. So my belief, why I kept on going back to Navy SEAL training and going back to all these different things, not because I hoped training would get easier. It's because I believed I could make it. Through the training I put myself through, I just wasn't doing and executing as I should. And I knew that. It was all on me. So then when I put that belief into work and that hard work came to fruition, everything happened for me.
The hardest obstacle was myself. I started realizing more and more and more that all these people were gone. What was haunting me was me. I can't control my dad. I can't control the people calling me. I can't control all these things, but they were things that kept me down. It started becoming my reality. My reality was what they made it out to be. And I became the most important conversation you'll ever have with your life, in your life is when you have yourself. And my conversation was absolutely horrifying.
What were you saying to yourself?
I'm dumb. I'm nobody. My dad was great in mental warfare. A drunk, insecure man will make everybody around him feel like hell.
Yeah.
Because he wants to give you no power. And that's why he was so mean to my mom and myself and my brother, because he didn't want anybody to get above him. He wanted to keep you down low. So when you're growing up with all of this stuff, all this hate, and it wasn't the beatings. I could take the beatings all day. It was the mental torture. So when at a young age, your parents put a dialogue in you of confidence or you're nobody. So that voice in my head was, I'm a loser. And then it was confirmed when I got in school, and in third grade, I was falling behind. They want to put me in a special school. Yeah. With kids who can't learn. Right. Then it was confirmed what my dad was saying. So that confirmed it. Then I started cheating. So I started realizing, you know what? I'm taking the easy way out again. Yeah. And it started snowballing from there. Now the kids are calling me nigger. But it wasn't all the kids. So what happens is you start to get this picture that everybody hates you. Because your reality becomes so big that you can't see the clear picture.
It might have been 3 or 4 kids.
That's it.
Doing it over and over.
Right. But it was the whole town. Yeah. Everybody hated me. So
the world hates me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's when it became toxic. And that is where I became my worst enemy. So I didn't want to bother her.
The last thing on her mind. Yeah. She's like, I've dealt with this my whole life.
Right. I didn't want to bother with anything, man. So I kept everything away from her. So I'm in the car wash trying to scrub this stuff off, and I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for what's the next thing for myself. How can I grow? And that right there was the next thing for me. And you start questioning yourself why you're here. And there's a lot of growth in that. You have to continue to live your life, or you can choose to be doomed and become a statistic. Like a lot of young people who fall back on their childhood when their childhood wasn't good. He never said any of this though. It was through his actions, by not feeling sorry for me, by how he worked me like a dog, that it came to me that this is what life is. Life is a training ground. And like going through Buds and Ranger School, very few people make it through. While you may live a long life, it doesn't mean graduated at the top of the class. You just lived a long, boring, despicable life. And that's not what I wanted to do. So Sergeant Jack started me out young, and I had to learn these lessons on my own through the discipline of hard work and
cutting the grass and raking the leaves and doing all these things before school and after school. And he just built a mindset in me that I was like, okay, one day I can fall back on this. But I realized that Sergeant Jack taught me something that I'm gonna have to go back to for the rest of my life.
That's the reality. You can dream all you want, but if you're not putting in the work every single day, you're just another talker. The world is full of them. The ones who could have been something.
All the knowledge for myself comes from that place. It doesn't come from the place of success. My knowledge does not come from the place of success. Because for me, I built Goggins from the ground up. I was born David Goggins. David Goggins wasn't good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled in life. And that kid, whenever something got tough, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how ready I was, whenever something got tough for me, David Goggins, the real David Goggins, would come out and he would quit. So I realized this over a period of time. So I had to build Goggins. And in that process, I had to go back to that mental lab. And that mental lab is at scratch. That mental lab is in that trained humility. And so that's where I get better. I get better when I'm digging holes in the ground, when I'm waking up early knowing I don't have to do these things. That's where I get better.
So it's important to stay hungry.
It's important to stay hungry, but it's important more to stay humble within that hunger. So while you're hungry, a lot of people are hungry, but humility is everything. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I understand that guy. I understand exactly where you're coming from. That is your personal opinion, and I totally get that. But there's very few people in this world who want to do a job like that. And it takes a different kind of mindset. Is it tear grass appropriate? I don't know. How hard that training is, I don't expect anybody to understand it, but 1%. But the loud voices of this world are the 99% who don't understand exactly what you have to do. That's why when I speak and you don't understand me, it's probably a good thing. Because that probably means I'm in an area of life that you're not in, which is fine. That's why I don't judge people. And this guy right here judging that, unless you've been there and done that, and you really can't speak about it unless you're in those situations that are so hard that it takes a special human being to get through them.
You want success? Get it done. You want respect? Get it done. You want to change your life? Get it done. It's not complicated. It's hard, but it's simple. Excuses are a disease. You either feed them or you kill them. Every time you hesitate, every time you delay, you're letting someone else take what's supposed to be yours. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to do it for you. You want the life you dream of? Then shut up, lock in, and get it done.
Well, discipline was huge, but then we always fall back on what's comfortable to us. What's comfortable for me was, if it's easy for me, you know, I'm gonna do it. And so when I was going through pararescue training, I ran up against an obstacle that I didn't think I was gonna run up, and it was the water. I hated the water. But I tried hard to get over that. And I would go to the pool and I would try, but my mind wasn't strong enough. David Goggins, even with all the discipline, I didn't have that next level. When you're truly committed to something, not like where you like, you know, I want to be a doctor, but when I run into this roadblock, I don't want to be a doctor. No, I'm going to be a doctor come hell and high water. I needed that kind of commitment. And David Goggins didn't know about that commitment. I knew how to wash a car. I knew how to clean a house. I knew how to, do all these manual labor jobs. But when it came down to true suffering, to the highest of suffering, I didn't have that next level of, we have this next level. David Goggins wasn't enough. So I went into my mental lab and realized, but I want to be great. But I don't have greatness in me. So I had to create that was great. And in my mind, I'm really big on visualization. And people may think it's all kind of bullshit, but I don't give a shit. This is the true shit right here, man. I went in my mind, I said, okay, I want to look like this, I want to feel like this, and I want to have a mind that can cast iron steel. That never dull, that's always sharp. That was the biggest thing I wanted. I wanted to hit obstacles that most people love, including myself, but I didn't waver. I didn't fear. I didn't run away. I just stayed and marinated in the fear, in the suffering. And through that, building Goggins, I will become Goggins when necessary. And I started to do these things on my own. I had my own training ground. I built a training ground. I wasn't Navy SEALs. If you go to Navy SEAL training not prepared, you're going to quit. So I built this training ground on my own. And I started doing these horrific things that David Goggins couldn't handle. But Goggins started slowly coming up. I started putting that visualization of the guy I wanted to create. And in that water, when things got hard, and I was training on my own, Goggins would appear. Goggins would appear. When David Goggins would come up, Goggins would smack him down and say, no, we're gonna drag you through this. And that's kind of how it happened over a period of time. This man evolved. Goggins became the guy that can withstand all kind of torture and pain and keep coming after you. And that's where that next step with evolution became.
And that's why I don't try to convince people otherwise. I understand that why you're confused. I understand why you say things like that. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I understand it. But also, what you don't understand, what you fail to understand, is the other side, that you need people like that. You need the Elon Musks. You need the David Goggins. You need some of these Navy SEALs, some of these other people. You need those people. And they forget that. And it takes a very, very unique person and unique mind to do some of these jobs that are necessary in this world.
But especially when we're thinking about someone going to war.
Right.
Like, do you want your armed forces to be underprepared for the battlefield because you didn't want to be too mean to them in advance?
That's the problem. That's the problem. And that's a problem that I've always had. Is that right there. Is that with even some of the most trained people in the world fall back on that. It's easy to talk about. Like I said, when you go through it once, it's a perishable skill. Hardness, mental hardening, mental toughness, it's a perishable skill. Just because you went through some training once and you got through it doesn't mean it lasts fucking forever. And that's where most people hated me in my life, because I realized that. You don't just say, oh, I got it, I'm checked off, I'm good for the rest of my life. That's why you have recall. You recall on fucking everything. And you definitely must recall when it comes to the mind. That is one of the biggest requalifications you must have. And when you're at that level, you got to recall every fucking day, not once a year. I hadn't run a 100-mile race, and I think it was about 6 years. I had, some heart surgeries. I had maybe some questioning in my mind about, I call it part-time savage. I started kind of going through this. I started getting, a little bit injuries, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Things that back in the day never slowed me down.
It took several years for me to figure out who the devil was. And the devil was my father. The devil was my father, but what I didn't put and never finished was the devil really was me. So what happened was I put all this blame, and trust me, my father and a lot of people had to do with my upbringing on how shitty it was. But like I put in that book, no one's gonna come back and say, hey man, I apologize. Maybe someone does. Very few people will. So today, when all things are said and done with, while my dad was the devil, and I believed that time, I had to confront him. And when I confronted the devil, so what I thought was the devil, I realized that I was the true devil. I was the one holding me back. I was the one looking for the scapegoat. And I was the one looking for all these ways to say, it's okay, David. You're a loser, you're a born loser, so it's okay. And I was hoping my dad was gonna give me that confirmation. And he was a loser himself, but at the end of the day, when I left there, I realized, well, shit, man, it's on me. They're not gonna save you. You gotta save yourself, my friend. So that's when all that reality hit me when I went to Buffalo to see my dad on that drive home. I was like, man, this rest of your life is gonna suck. It is gonna suck, not because you're gonna be a loser, but because you're gonna finally start to win. And winning is not easy, my friend. This is what I need every day in my life. I don't need someone to say, good job, David. I don't need a pat on the back. Everything became internal. I started feeling this feeling I never had before. You know, like I thought I was a born loser. And just cleaning a tire and cleaning the car to the best of your ability changed everything. Raking the yard and not leaving one leaf. Not one leaf. And then one would fall and I would get that one leaf. It just became something that was like, okay, I see dirt, don't pass the dirt, clean the dirt. It just started absorbing, and before you know it, man, it just morphed into a man that was like, we gotta get it done regardless. Nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent. That's why I'm always big on, you have to keep what you wanna be in the front of your mind. Because you're gonna always lose it within the suffering. And suffering, people always hear me say suffering, it's not just physical, man. There's so many forms of suffering out here, it's not even funny. And most of them are not physical. Most of them are psychological. So I'm going through this race, I get to mile 200 on my second Moab, and I'm doing well, but I'm in extreme pain, man. Ass is raw, my damn feet are broken, I have 6 layers of tape on my, it's just, I'm jacked, man. I have 40 miles to go. I'm having this woe is me while out here. I'm at high elevation. I can't breathe real well. Everything's wrong. So I'm with my pacer. His name is Mike. And I see this porta potty of sorts. And I'm like, I just need to get off the course. So I lie to Mike. I'm like, hey, man, I got to go to the bathroom. And I go in this outdoor house. There's a bathroom in it. So I went in there and I'm in there and I'm thinking, I'm like, God, man. I just wish I would fall into the toilet. You know how like big sinkholes? I just wish I fall in there, man, and maybe I'll break my leg or maybe something would happen where I can't finish the race. And as I'm talking to myself like this, out of nowhere, Goggins appears in my mind. He's like, man, are you really talking like this, bro?
Fear isn't your enemy. It's your damn compass. It points to where you need to go, not what you should run from. You're not scared of failure. You're scared of being exposed, weak, unworthy, a fraud. And that fear, it's winning because you let it. Every time you hesitate, every time you stay silent, every time you talk yourself out of greatness, fear laughs. It feeds on your excuses. It feeds on your comfort. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because you've handed fear the keys to your life. You let it decide how far you'll go, how loud you'll be, how hard you'll fight. Comfort is the real enemy. Safety? That's a prison wearing a mask of lies. You think courage means being fearless? Bullshit. Courage is feeling the fear and charging forward anyway. You'll never be fearless, but you can be fear dominant. The only way out is through. So stop negotiating. Stop hiding. Take back control. Fear is your compass. Follow it. Break through, or stay exactly where you are, forgotten.